All right, let's get right into this. We are going on a treasure hunt. But this isn't about gold or jewels. Nope. The treasure we're after is a secret, a 1,300-year-old mystery that's been hiding in a single word. So the whole mystery starts with this one name, Pelago. Now in Latin, pelagos means the sea. It's a beautiful name, right? You can almost smell the salt air. There's just one tiny problem. The town of Pelago is way up in the mountains of Tuscany, hundreds of meters above sea level and miles from any coast.
And that, right there, is our central question. It makes no sense. It's a geographical contradiction, a linguistic puzzle that has had historians scratching their heads for ages. Why on earth would you name a landlocked town the sea? Let's dig in.
Okay, so every investigation has to start at let's call it the scene of the crime. Before we can crack this thing, we've got to get the lay of the land and just establish the basic facts of the case. So here it is, Pelago, Tuscany. It's this charming town perched on a hill, 309 meters up. You can see it's in a pretty strategic spot along an ancient route, but, well, look around. There's no ocean, there's no Great Lake, not even a big river. It's just hills and valleys, as far as the eye can see. Now, you know how in any good mystery, there's always the official story? The easy explanation that sounds kind of plausible at first, but the more you look at it, the more it starts to fall apart. For a long time, the accepted theory was that the name Pelagus was just used loosely. You know, that it didn't really mean the sea, but more like any body of water. The thinking was, hey, maybe there was an old Roman mineral bath nearby or something, and the name just stuck. It's a neat and tidy explanation. Maybe a little too tidy. And this is where that official story just completely unravels. First off, calling some little spring the sea is a huge linguistic stretch. It just doesn't track. Second, we don't really see this name used for towns that are actually on the coast, but we do find it in other mountain areas, like Piva Pelago and Rucca Pelago. So what? Are we supposed to believe they all had forgotten Roman baths? And here's the real nail in the coffin. There is zero geological or historical evidence of any large bodies of water ever existing in these places. That official story, it just doesn't hold water. So if the old theory is a total dead end, we need a new clue. And that clue, it turns out, comes from looking at the word itself in a completely different way. What if we've been reading it all wrong this whole time? What if it's not Pelago, one word from Latin, but per lago, two words from an old local dialect? In some of these old Italian dialects, per means at the foot of. So per lago would literally mean at the foot of the lake. Now that is a fantastic breakthrough. It just feels right, doesn't it? But hang on, it immediately creates a brand new problem. We've just spent all this time establishing there are no lakes in these areas. So have we just swapped one mystery for another one? And right here, this is where our investigation takes a sharp turn. We're leaving geography behind and heading straight into the battlefields of the early Middle Ages. The answer, it turns out, isn't in the ground. It's in the language of a forgotten people. And here it is, the solution to the whole mystery. The word lago in these place names has absolutely nothing to do with the Italian word for lake. It's a linguistic fossil, a word left over from the Lombards, a Germanic people who ruled this part of Italy over 1,000 years ago. In their language, the word lagar meant a fortified post, a strategic military camp. This changes everything. We've been looking for water when we should have been looking for walls this whole time. The name Pelago isn't a description of the landscape, it's a historical marker. It's a signpost pointing to a lost military installation. Okay, that's an incredible theory. But a theory needs evidence, right? You need proof. And lucky for us, the proof is still there, hiding in plain sight on modern maps. Okay, let's start with case number 1, Piva Pelago, over in the Modena region. If our theory is right, it should be at the foot of a Lombard camp. So you pull up a map and you look directly uphill from the town. And what do you find? A tiny little spot simply named Lago. And get this, the distance between Piva Pelago and this Lago site is about 4,800 meters, just about 4.8 kilometers. That seems incredibly specific. Let's just, keep that number in mind. Now let's jump back to case number 2, our original town, back in Tuscany. So here's Pelago on the map, and if we travel uphill from there, what do we find? A high plateau, and its name? Il Lago, the lake. And the distance from Pelago to Il Lago, I think you know where this is going. It is, again, almost exactly
4,800 meters. Okay, this is that moment. This is when a coincidence becomes a pattern. This is a clear, repeating relationship.
The pattern even holds up when the name is a little bit different. Over near Lucca, there's a village called Pelago, and guess what? Uphill, on a strategic mountain, there's a place called Campo di Lao, which is just a dialect version of Campo di Lago, the field of the camp. The system is absolutely undeniable.
You know what's so amazing about this? This one little discovery, that lago actually means lagar. It doesn't just solve the Pelago mystery. It's like finding a master key that unlocks a whole hidden network of place names all across Italy.
Just look at this. Pelago means at the foot of the camp. So does Lago, which is just a more literal version. And even places that sound totally unrelated like Palagiano and Palagano, turns out they're just later corruptions of that same original name. They all point back to a nearby Lombard military post.
So what all this really means is that these place names are so much more than just labels on a map. They're echoes in the landscape. Together, they form a kind of ghost map of the Lombarda defensive network, a whole system of strategic outposts they built to control these mountain passes. Its history preserved long after the last wall has crumbled into dust.
The treasure, in the end, wasn't some physical thing. It was the story itself, hidden in a word that everyone saw, but nobody really understood. And it leaves us with one last fascinating question to chew on. How many other historical secrets are hiding in the names of the places you pass by every single day?